All right. Good morning. Good
Good.
morning, Jeremy. Good morning to all the viewers.
Yeah, good
Um,
morning to all our viewers and good morning to you, Jeff. How are you doing today?
yes, I'm doing great. I'm doing
All
great.
right.
Yes. Oh, well, we have a visitor from down under.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, sandali lang ha. Pumasok yung anak ko nagpapatali ng sapatos. Meron kasi siyang Saturday fitness training.
Oh,
So, yeah, it's an MWF thing and well, na-move ng Saturday yung today's session eh. So, ayan, nagpapatali siya sa akin ng sapatos. And, you know, this is the way to go. Di ba? I mean, do everything online. So, homeschooling is also something that many parents are considering this year, no? And yung guest natin today will teach us, no, how to choose the right homeschool for your kids. Okay, again, maganda itong topic natin because yung guest natin today will teach us how to choose the right homeschool for our kids, or no, and for the parents to consider. She is a registered teacher in Queensland, yan, in Australia, and the founder of a daycare school called Bubba Care. Okay, so wag na nating patagalin. Let's bring in our guest today, Miss Audi Agustin. Yes, good morning.
Good
Good
morning,
morning,
Jeff.
Audi.
Good morning,
Yes,
Jeremy.
good
yes.
morning.
Good morning, Audi. So, how are you?
Good. Good.
Okay.
It's Saturday here, 11 o'clock.
Oh,
Yeah.
great. Sige. So, before we proceed, Audi, tell us naman something about yourself. Yan. A bit of a story. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm a mom of two boys. And as you know, Jeff, I haven't always been a teacher. No? Jeff and I went to
Oh,
the same
and
university.
Jeremy also. We're
Oh,
all
Jeremy,
from the
yes.
same
Okay.
university.
Yeah. The CRC. So I use my background really is business. So
Yes.
that's what I took up in college. And then
Yes.
after that, I actually moved to the US. So because my
Hmm.
family's there. And so I lived in the US for about 10 years.
Oh,
Um yeah, and worked there. So but my work there was mortgage banking. So
oh,
I was
okay.
doing mortgage bankings, loans.
Ang layo, ah.
Hmm.
Right, exactly. So
From
my
banking to
specialty,
teaching.
huh?
Yeah. Banking and then teaching. Okay.
Yes, exactly. So my specialization then was home loans, and last 2008, Archie and I got married, but he
Hmm.
is based here in Australia. So we had to pick a place whether to choose the US or Australia. And 2008 was also the financial crisis.
Crisis, yes.
Yes. So I thought, okay, banking wasn't really doing well then because of all of the lenders shutting down and the big
Yes.
banks shutting down. So I said, okay, I haven't been to Australia. So I came here and visited for a week. I toured Brisbane for 1 week and I said, okay, fine, I'm going to move. So a year after, I moved here. So we just, planned the wedding and everything. And then a year after, I moved here. So I did go back to banking. And when I had my first child, I thought, this is not gonna work, because
Ah,
I'm always at work from let's say 8 to 5 or 6, and I had to leave my son in childcare, which I didn't really want to do.
ah.
So I looked into options, looked at childcare options here, looked at the different models, and I decided to open a home daycare. So that was that was back in 2011 when I started doing that, and studied teaching at the same time. And so I was studying online. It's a blended one, online and in campus here at Queensland, QUT, Queensland University of Technology. And then
Oh,
I also had my home business. And so that's how I found preschool teaching, and I've stayed there since then. Yeah.
All right.
Oh,
So how different is teaching from management, let's say?
Well, you get no quiet time. You don't get to really sit down, you
yeah.
know. So when you're doing maybe loans or doing sales, talking to people, you get to, prepare your stuff and talk to them and wait for them to answer you back, or, things like that. You get to sit in a computer, show them things. It's very office like, or maybe you're in the field doing presentations. So it's very structured. With kids, you have to be very active. That's also
Yeah.
one thing that I found and I've learned to love. I wasn't always an outdoor person, but now I like being outdoors. Like I can't stay inside for too long. So kids like it outside. So I've learned to love outside and explore yung outdoors and things like that. So, and it's also
Okay.
very spontaneous.
Okay.
Wow.
Mm.
So Audi, so eto no. Well, you mentioned you have well, right now you're teaching in a school also.
Right now, I'm teaching part time in the school. Yes, they go from, and I'm lucky to be working in a school that caters for babies all the way to year 12. So they do have the facilities for babies all the way to year 12. Because
Okay.
schooling here, they start the classrooms from nursery, which is the baby classroom, and the kids move up all the way to year 12 from there.
Okay.
Hmm.
Sige. Let's talk about well, since the topic today is homeschooling, right?
Right.
And I'm sure pag sinabi natin homeschooling, kasama na din diyan ngayon yung remote learning, or paano ba, how does your homeschooling work? Kasi my idea of homeschooling at least is that you enroll your child in a curriculum, and then bibilin mo yung libro, iuuwi mo yung libro, okay? And
Yeah.
then you study everything from home, okay? So is it still like this in your case at least, or in the program you have in Bubba Care?
Well, right now, for Bubba Care, there are no books. Like here, kasi even with the primary, there are no textbooks. We don't use textbooks here. So, like my kids, they go to school, but everything is online, or they do have maybe one or two workbooks. But they do really encourage hands-on learning. So they're not going to school with big bags full of books. And it's the same for preschoolers. So right now for my online program, there's a component where you get a parent guide, and that's all by email. Now this guide can be in the form of a text, like a letter, or something that you can read, or it can be a video just showing you basic things on how to actually do it, and then also like a daily guide of what you're going to do throughout the day, like from morning to afternoon. You have a choice of schedule. Of course, it's up to you if you want to flip the schedule so that it works better for you. You do this in the morning, you do this in the afternoon, but it gives you the tools and resources you need to give children a variety of experiences throughout the day. Because for preschoolers, like, as you know, they're not just going to sit still and then watch the computer. So aside from they're not just going to do that, that's also not good for them. So even the videos or resources that I'm going to share with you kind of keep your kids active. And the activities that you're going to do, which I guide you through with, can also be done inside or outside the home.
Okay.
So,
Te-
yeah.
Tell us.
But they're
Tell
all by
us. Yeah.
email. Mhm.
By email, I see. So
Yes.
tell us about the philosophy you brought into this preschool, no? Sorry, in the, what do you call this? In the daycare. Kasi, okay, siguro it's best that first we can define to the viewers ano yung daycare, ano yung nangyari sa daycare nung nagkaroon ng pandemic dyan. I mean, dito kasi parang sa iba, iba ang daycare eh. No? So what is a
Right.
daycare there? What is an
Definition.
online...
Is
Yes,
that what you're
Jeremy?
trying to say, Jeff? The definition of daycare here
Yes.
is may not be the same as what they have
Yes,
there.
oo. Yes,
Okay.
oo.
Mhm.
So siguro,
Yeah.
so how do you define it, please?
Yeah. So basically, sa Pilipinas, we call it preschool. So when they're not going to the big school, the formal school, like maybe Xavier or Ateneo or Miriam or whatever, then that's considered preschool. So preschool there, I guess it's optional. It's up to you whether you want to take your kids to the preschool or not.
Yeah.
Sometimes they stay there with their yayas, or sometimes you leave them there. But here, as you know, the setup, people are not set up with yayas or nannies. That's more of an exception than a rule. So where do parents leave their kids? Especially the working parents. The working parents leave their kids in daycare. So there's different kinds of model for daycare. You call that a long daycare, or you call it a kindergarten. So yung long daycare model caters from babies as young as 6 weeks to preschool age, maybe about 5 or 6. And so babies do have classrooms, and they are taught by teachers, like early childhood teachers.
Mhm.
So yung teaching qualifications for children for the year before school has to be taught by a qualified teacher. And then the years before, yung younger, they can be taught by certificates or diploma qualified early childhood educators. So that's what daycare here is. So it's like a school for young kids. So they do have classrooms,
Okay.
they do have
So,
teachers. So combined yung education and care, and they do have programs. Like
Okay.
how do you support kids to walk, to eat, to choose healthy choices, to make sure they develop their fine motor, gross motor, and things like that. So,
Okay. So your Bubba Care is a daycare, pero online
right.
siya.
Yes, and now I
Okay.
just started. I'm teaching in the school, but I started Bubba Care, which is an online preschool program. So
Okay.
yeah.
So online preschool program, so it's not a daycare. Daycare has to be physical, right?
Right. Daycare
Okay.
is a structure. So usually it
Okay.
has to be an actual structure because you need people to care for your kids and teach
Okay.
them at the same time. Yeah.
So
But
Bubba
it has
Care is a,
transitioned, right, Jeff? It has transitioned from daycare to a preschool.
tama ba? So
On-
Bubba Care, yeah. So from daycare, it is a preschool.
Yes. So yep, that's right. So
Okay.
preschool yung Daycare is also daycare here. I know it's confusing, but daycare
Yeah.
here is also preschool. Iba lang yung
Oh,
model.
okay.
They have long hours instead
Okay.
of just like 2-hour sessions.
Okay, pero yung model ng Bubba Care is learnings, yung mga learnings delivered online.
That's right.
Okay, good, no? So for those watching us, so Audi is the owner of Bubba Care Center. It is a preschool, but learning is delivered online, correct?
Yes, so it's an
Okay.
online preschool. Mhm.
There, it's an online preschool. All right. So
Mhm.
now let's go to the teaching philosophy for online. Sige, kasi I'm sure you have experienced, face-to-face classes, and now you're doing online learning or online teaching. So what is the teaching philosophy that you brought into Bubba Care school?
Yeah. So basically, the same philosophy that I have for teaching in classrooms, I feel that it's important to translate that as well online. So I see many online preschools that focus mostly on purely academic. So teaching them to read, teaching them numbers and things like that, which is not bad, which is really good. But I feel that it's important also to um, develop children's social, emotional learning, their confidence, and their overall development. And so that's what I bring into my preschool, or to my online preschool. So I don't carry out long sessions that's over an hour, because usually what they say is, for the child's age, what is developmentally appropriate for them, their focus time, they can usually focus about 3 times their age. So if they're 5
4
years
years
old, so maybe about 15 minutes, really, 20 minutes. So that is just a guide. Sometimes they can focus longer, then that's good, But to carry out an hour and a half sessions, I feel like it's not really developmentally appropriate. So to get the most learning, I break down the sessions into shorter sessions, which is half an hour sessions, and make sure that the child participates in those sessions to develop their confidence as well. And they're social, so they can make friends, online. So
Okay.
So how many are they in one class?
Yeah.
In one class, I try to put it at a maximum of 10. Ideally, I would have 7. And then for those show and share sessions where they actually get to speak and answer questions and talk to their friends and interact with their friends, I try to keep it at about 5 or 6, so they have really that time for themselves, because you can't really rush the kids. Sometimes they get shy, or sometimes they can't stop talking. Yeah.
No. Okay. So in a typical online preschool, how does it work? I mean, what is their typical day like?
Well, for a typical online preschool, I think it's very important here to work with the parents. Yeah. So since kids are not in an actual physical space, I still feel that a schedule or a structure is still very essential. A structure that the school provides, gives them certainty of what's going to happen throughout their day. So they know in the morning, maybe they're going to eat, they're going to talk to their friends or play with their friends. And then after that, they're going to do maths, or now it's playtime. I think it's very important to still carry out that structure at home. And that's where parents play a role. They have to provide that environment for the kids. They don't really have to be the teachers where you're always there. Oh, this is what you do. I know, what did I say? Number 1, alam mo na ba yan? Number 1, number 2, number 3. Sinabi ko na 1, but di mo pa rin alam. It's that's the typical picture that we have, for when you're teaching. But sometimes it starts with just the basic concept of, they still wake up at 8 o'clock, then they still have, their breakfast. They still need to get dressed. And I provide visual cards for the parents to, download and put in their homes, so that helps the kids be a bit more independent as well and a bit more involved. Okay, this time I need to get dressed. This time I can use my iPad. This time I can play. And that makes it easier for both the parents and the child not to be struggling with what's supposed to be done. Because of course they're gonna say, "Oh, I don't want to do this," I don't want to read right now kasi gusto ko lang mag-iPad. Where do you set the boundaries?
Yeah.
Those boundaries are set in school, but then it's harder when you're homeschooling, especially if the parent is running it, because the emotional connection there is just a bit different. Yeah.
So yun nga. So yung involvement ng parent, less or more in a homeschool setup.
I would say to get, of course, there's more more parent involvement, because you actually have to run the program. But what I'm trying to say is, you don't have to helicopter parent the kids to, tell them what to do all the time. But what you need to do is to set up the environment so they can do a lot of things themselves, so they can have that free time and they can have that learning time without you having to facilitate all that. And that's, what I try to show the parents. And also to recognize that learning is not just, reading and writing and doing, the schoolwork. There are other things that they do need. So it's important to have variety in the day from morning to afternoon. So both you and your child, you don't get bored. Sometimes they like sensory things like to touch Play-Doh or to be throwing balls or whatever, if we don't give the spaces for that or the opportunities for that, it's gonna drive us both crazy, di ba? Pag nagtatatapan na sila ng mga toys doon, then, but with the right activities planned throughout the day, you can avoid, the stresses. And that's what I try to show you. And what activities do they actually need, from sensory to physical, to actual reading, writing, and to stories that would kind of integrate their whole learning and make it easier for the parents as well. So that's the program I provide.
Oh, okay. I see.
So what
we have,
kind of platform do you use for this?
Yeah, I send it all by email. So I have text guides, video guides, and I've also compiled all the work that I've done. They're tried and tested. I've tried them in my own home. I've tried them in kindergarten. So I have a very good idea of how to settle the children and what activities kind of would settle them down and help them learn. So,
interesting.
yeah. So mostly by email.
So you create your own videos. So everything, no? Parang it's like, it's still you. They're just watching you from the screen, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right.
No,
Yes.
no,
But at
like-
the same time, I share the free resources that's already available there for them to check out and use as well.
Oh, okay.
And then
So
you
they,
also have live classes with them.
Again, I'm sorry.
You also
you have
have
live classes.
live classes with them, meaning still in front of the camera, but
Yeah,
using
synchronous.
synchronous
Yes. Live classes. Yes, that's right.
live class. Okay.
Okay, interesting. Meron dito nagtatanong, Audi, before we move to our next question, basahin lang natin.
Mhm.
What learning modalities are applicable in preschool? I guess in online to siguro. I'm not sure what he's referring to.
Maybe online, offline.
Yeah,
right?
online.
What do you mean
online,
by
diba?
learning modalities? I just wanted to clarify that. Are you
Oo,
talking
I mean,
about a curriculum or?
baka siguro mas maganda, more specific. I guess online, no? Online is a modality, pero I don't know, siguro kung maka-clarify pa niya more, mas natin yan. Mas masasagot natin siya.
Maybe a method, Audi, because from the introduction, I was able to read that you are using Reggio Emilia.
Yeah. Well, my teaching practices basically are influenced by Reggio Emilia
Reggio Emilia.
approach. Yes. So I love doing that in the classroom. So basically, with Reggio, it's including the children's voices, like what do they want to learn, what are they talking about, what are their interests. So I try to incorporate those when they are learning, so I can actually connect with the children. They're, as they say, they're not going to learn from somebody that they don't actually like, and they're not going to learn something that they don't really have an idea about. So before they can, I actually make them read or spell or things like that. Let's go and start with your name. What letters do you have in your name? Because that makes sense to them. Their name makes sense to them, that they can see that everywhere. And then we can start with the letters of their name, and then we can connect the sounds and things like that. So that's where the Reggio is. And I try to make the kids work together and also incorporate nature play. So I think it's very important that kids have experiences outside because it really helps them learn. So they know what the sky is, they know what the ground is. And sometimes I even use that to teach them to write their names. Like, okay, let's start from the sky and then down to the ground. So because the kids know, so that instead of saying, oh, you start up here and then go down there. So where, if they don't have a sense of where is up, where is down, you can describe it in terms of, what they actually know and experience.
Okay.
We have a, yeah. You have a
Question, Jeff?
follow-up? Yeah, well, there's a question here. Maganda itong
Yeah.
question niya. Happy Saturday morning. How can you keep a 4-year-old child to actively participate in all the activities online? What's the learning methodology when it comes to online learning? This is from Bonifacio Tim.
Yes. Thank you for that question. No? As we were discussing earlier, for the kids to actually participate online, one of the things is that we have to stay within their focus time. So I try to keep the lessons within a 30-minute range, and I try to provide different kinds of activities during that time. So usually 4-year-olds would love songs and movements. So we incorporate songs and movements there. And 4-year-olds also usually love to talk. So I give them a chance to actually, listen to their voices, and they want to move. So when I'm teaching, I incorporate participation and movement and music in that, and then also interaction between the kids, and keep it at half an hour. So I know that yung learning time nila, they actually absorbed what they learned from
Yeah.
from there. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Here, another, yeah. Here's another question.
Mhm.
Oh, this talk is timely. This is from Doan. As I just received the primer from my son's school for the upcoming school year. I like how you stressed on keeping active but not being a helicopter parent. Uh, can you give any tips to keep the students focused, especially for synchronous classes with one subject lined after the other? I guess yun nga yun, no?
Si Don ba yan? Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
So,
yes.
Schoolmate yan, schoolmate.
Yeah, we really have to keep the kids active. I don't think it is healthy for them to just be sitting in front of their computers. I usually we did homeschooling here too, and my year 4 son had like subjects lined up one after another as well. But the beautiful thing about homeschooling or online schooling is that you do have the flexibility to schedule those classes online. I'm not sure
yeah.
how you're doing it. If your kids would actually have to be there live with a teacher, or they only have specific teaching times. But usually, when they do the work, then they don't have to be sitting in the computer. I try to give them breaks every half an hour. Actually, we've set up our garage when we were doing homeschooling, so that we put balls there that they can kick, a small table tennis that they can play with, things like that. Or sometimes yung mga science experiments or science subjects, we do it outside.
Mm.
It's easier if they're working with rocks or water or paper, and that makes it a bit more refreshing. And make sure to schedule breaks also for them to eat.
Yeah. So yun pala, no? Let's go to the tools. Ano yung mga tools na kailangan ready palagi ang parents when they're homeschooling their children? Let's start with the early child with the early child curriculum.
Yes. Oh, okay. So for the tools at home, like what I said, kailangan nila ng variety. So I found the essential tools to help settle the kids. You always need one sensory activity, which is a Play-Doh, a slime that they can be quiet with. You always need puzzles, blocks, building blocks, like Lego. You
Yeah.
always need to have that at home. Those are the basic toys. You don't need expensive toys. You don't need toys that are noisy, the toys that sing. You don't need them. You always need music, maybe music and movement.
Mhm.
And so for music and movement, there's a lot of good resources online where they can learn, let's say, patterns, like math patterns, but they
Yeah.
can do it through dancing, loud, loud, quiet, quiet, loud, loud,
Wow.
quiet, quiet. So those are
Wow.
patterns. They can move, they can dance to it. Yeah, so music and movement. And they always need a time for free play. So you always have to give them a time for free choice and limit the iPad,
Yeah.
limit the technology to,
True.
shorter periods of time. Because sometimes, I don't know if you know this, but if they're on their iPads or games for too long, they get cranky. So
Really?
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
they get yeah,
Totoo yun.
they get
Yeah,
cranky.
they
And
get
then they
cranky.
feel like, ah, magta-tantrum sila about something. It's like they don't know what they want, but it's because
Oo.
they've been on the
On the
computer or iPad
iPad, yeah.
for too
Mm.
long. Yeah. Yeah.
Naging cranky sila.
Yeah.
Eto may question here, pero I think this was answered already, but let's just, how many minutes should a preschool study on an online class?
Yes, for 3 to 6 years old, I would say a maximum of half an hour, so 20 to 30 minutes. So if you're thinking about it, what is developmentally appropriate, it's usually 3 times the age of your child. That's a good guide for you to,
Okay.
it could be more or less. So,
So, yeah, yun ang guide yan. 3 to 5,
mhm.
times 3 to 5. And the answer is ilang minutes yan. All right.
Yeah,
Uh,
20 to 30 minutes. Yeah.
20 to 30 minutes. So, okay, now we've talked about the tools, we've talked about the philosophy, we've talked about the modalities, no, and the number of minutes a child should spend online. Now let's go to um, choosing. Okay, how can you help parents decide on the right homeschool program for their child or children?
Mhm, mhm.
Ano
I
yung
think the
factors?
homeschool program that you have to choose is always, like in partnership with the parents. If they're claiming all you need is the online school, you just sit them there and they're gonna listen and they're gonna be ready. Um, I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah.
So I really think if we want to see the results for our kids, if we want them to really learn and be ready for school, we have to put in our fair share. And like what I said, it doesn't mean that you're gonna be hovering over your kids all day. But I think it's a preschool that gives you a balance between activities and online learning, and then also acknowledging your child's needs at their age. It has to be developmentally appropriate. So when they just promise, oh, they're going to be reading, they're going to be doing maths, they're going to be doing all this, just because your child is reading or counting or adding, it doesn't mean that they're going to be ready for school. So that's my experience here, and that's what we advocate here, that development is kumbaga overall. So you have to
Okay.
help them learn, you have to support them with their social emotional um, development. That is very important, that when they get frustrated they don't just cry. And you think, oh, how do you teach that,
Yeah.
but it's basic things like naming their feelings or being able to recognize their feelings. So that could be the learning in preschool, and you think, oh, that's nothing, that's not what they need, but they actually do need that. They do need to be able to self-regulate to be ready for school. And so I
Mhm.
think an online program has to support the parents and the children for an overall development. And I think it's really
Oh,
possible to do it. Yeah.
So let's talk about again your Bubba Care. If you want, to all the viewers, if you want to check her website, it's there, bubbacare.com. Okay, so Audi has what do you call this? An online preschool catering to what years of age? 3 to 6, right?
3 to 6, 3 to 6 right now. I'm starting with the 3 to 6 years of age.
Yun pala, Audi.
Mhm.
So, to those watching right now who want to enroll their children, pwede, kahit nandito sila sa Manila, right? You're
Oh
based
yes,
in
definitely.
Australia. Yeah, you're
Mm-hmm.
based in
Mm-hmm.
Australia. They're here in Manila. They want to enroll their child or children. So how does it work, no? They pay you online.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
online. I've signed up with Stripe, and then I'm also trying to set up my PayPal just to give you more options if you don't want to use like a credit card. But the Stripe is set up right now, so you can use that for the online classes. Though, just be mindful that I'm doing it in Brisbane time. Brisbane time is only 2 hours ahead of Manila time.
So
So
what's your time pala?
yeah, right
When you
now
start?
Brisbane time it's 11:30 here. So over there it's 9:30,
9:30.
right?
Yes.
Yes. So Manila is just 2 hours behind Brisbane.
Okay.
So
So so what time does your class normally start? Yan. Baka naman 6 o'clock de, 4 p.m. pa lang.
no. um about 11 o'clock here and about 9 o'clock there.
Oh wow, sakto. Galing ah. So
Yes.
so the kids will get a certificate from Australia.
From
From
Bubba.
Yes, from
Care.
Bubba Care.
From
Yes.
Bubba Care.
Yeah, and for those who are wondering, what kind of curriculum am I using? So I'm using the Early Years Learning Framework and Queensland Kindergarten curriculum. So that, yeah, and so that basically helps the children develop language, literacy, and numeracy, and communication, and as well as like their sense of identity, their sense of well-being, like helping themselves, how do you wash your hands properly and things like that. So it's the curriculum that we use here in Australia, all over Australia actually. So for all the teachers teaching early years and kindergarten, we use the Early Years Learning Framework. So that is a national standard here in Australia. And if you see the curriculum for other countries, it's also very similar, like the curriculum that they use in the US or other European countries. They're all aligned.
So the goal of Bubba Care is to
Mhm.
help the kids transition uh, from to bigger school, right? To big school.
That's right.
From
So
preschool.
yes, we try to make sure that kids have the essential learning that they need to be successful in kindergarten there. So when they start big school, we want to make sure that they have the tools, that they need.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yan ah. So they get to interact also with the other
Yes,
kids
yes,
from
yes.
there,
So
right?
if you're enrolling from there, and then I have the kids here, so it's gonna be different students, maybe from Manila and from Brisbane or Sydney. Uh, yeah. So
Galing ah.
students from
Okay.
Australia in there. Yeah.
Ah,
Also, the age. Let's say in one class they have different ages. Is that how it is?
Yes,
Or
that's right. So usually it's 3 to 6 years of age.
3 to 6? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Eto, Audie, I'm looking at the, can you explain your curriculum? Kasi you mentioned here parang 5 steps. Parang ganun eh. Like confident sense of identity, positive relationship, well-being, active learning on your website, ano? And
Mm-hmm.
effective communicator. So, eto lahat tinatamaan na activities.
Again, I'm sorry.
Etong 5 steps,
Right.
lahat to may activities around this, around your curriculum, right?
Yes. So basically,
Can you give us
these are the
samples siguro?
learning. Yeah. So these are the learning outcomes that we use here in Australia. So how do you say that the children are ready? How do you say that they're, that they're ready for school? So these are the main things that we look at to get the children ready for school, that they have a confident sense of identity, sense of belonging. And one of the things here, maybe the most common thing, is they try to complete, challenging tasks before they ask for help. When your kids say, no, I can do it.
Yeah.
And they don't want your help. We actually support that. So that's when I say the parents don't have to helicopter. You have to kind of back off. Okay, just see up to where they can actually push this. I can do it myself, and then maybe guide them or support them where they need. And this gives them a lot more confidence in themselves as learners. So if they can do little things, and they can do big things. So, yeah. And then, and so it goes up from there. Well-being, they have to be able to help themselves,
Okay.
use
Ito
the
may
toilet
question
and things
dito.
like that.
Yeah. There's a question here. Josephine is asking kung group class yung yung Bubba Care.
Yes, it is a group class because I'd like for the children to have that sense of interaction. So it's always easier for them to learn when they have other learners along with them.
So the social component is still there.
Yeah, so the social component, because I really believe the social component is still there. They have to learn how to work with others. That's one of the main things that we have to do in school and in work and in life. We have to work with other people. So
I like that.
So,
Free trial. Where was that again?
oh yeah.
Try our 1 week risk-free trial. Okay.
yes, you can. I'm offering free trials, so so you could just sign up, and I'll schedule you in a class if you want to try. It's risk-free, it's obligation-free. You can try and see if it works for you.
So
and see
it's
how
an
you like it.
open school year, right? They don't have
No, I'm
like-
not doing it by terms or because I know if it's going to cater to different places, then they have different school terms. Here we have 4 terms. Usually each term is a 10-week term. They get a break. They get a 2-week break every 10 weeks. But I feel that with homeschooling, it's a lot more flexible. They don't really have to go follow those terms. It's whatever works for them. So
Okay.
So your classes they pay you monthly? They pay you how does it work?
yes, it's a monthly payment when you sign up, and they can cancel anytime. So they can go month to month.
Okay. So can you give us more or less the amount para at least those who are interested may want to consider?
Yes, so for online classes, you get it's usually twice a week, and each day you get 2 classes broken down into half-an-hour sessions. So you get half an hour in the morning and then half an hour in the afternoon. The first class is designed to be like a teaching time. So I actually facilitate the children's teaching. And so we do songs, and that's where we do our alphabets, numbers, and things like that. And and they music and movement. And then the other one is what we call preschool pals, where children would be able to interact with one another. So it's more like a show and share. So I give a specific topic, and then that's what they talk about. So we have a structure, and this is to actually help them communicate. So it's like a presentation, but it's more friendly. So they can bring whatever toy they want. They can show it to their friends just as they would show it to their actual friends, but they do it online. But it's a chance for them to actually develop their communication skills
Okay, I see.
and their confidence.
Yeah, we have a question.
So
here.
anyway,
Yeah.
2 classes each day. For 2 days, that's at around 57 Australian dollars.
Uh-huh. Wow, only 2,000.
For a month. So that's for 4 weeks.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's very reasonable. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, very, very reasonable, huh?
Mhm.
2,004 weeks, very reasonable. And that's like 8 sessions, right? In
That's
a
right.
month.
Two,
Right.
4, 6, 8. Yep, 8
Yeah, very,
sessions.
very reasonable.
Yeah.
Here, how many pupils in a group?
The maximum would be 10.
10. Okay. We
Yes.
have here, kilala mo to.
Hi,
Kilala natin
Ting!
to. Boss natin sa UANP. All right.
Oh,
Hello.
Hi,
Ma'am Ting.
hi, Audie. The kid can just try classes anytime during the 10-week period.
Actually, anytime throughout the year thing. So, because I opened that free trial, they can always just, come and join in and then try it out and see. The parents would have to set them up with their Zoom and everything, but the parents don't have to be like right there hovering. Yeah. So they can stand up, sit down, or whatever, but they can try it out anytime during.
Yan, high odds daw. Yan,
Hi,
miss
Ting.
you. Yan. Alright, no, nakakatuwa naman to. Parang may reunion tayo rito.
Yeah.
So yun, ano? So, interesting. Okay, we're down to our last few minutes. So, yung mga iba dyan, kung may questions pa kayo for
Please
Audie,
sit down.
please do ask. Oo, please do ask now. Pwede niyo pa siyang tanungin. If you have questions about, let's say, her curriculum, if you're interested to enroll your kids sa kanyang Bubba Care Center, and I think it's very the price is very reasonable at 1,900 pesos, something like that, plus whatever, siguro mga almost 2,000. It's very reasonable. Eto, may question tayo from Gwen Clego. Is there a pre-screening or assessment of students before accepting them in a class?
No, I don't do okay, you get
Is this
in.
for
No,
free?
you don't get in.
Uh,
One of my goals is to actually make why I'm doing this is to make a preschool accessible, because some parents, they opt out of preschool because they can't afford preschool, or they don't have the time to send their kids. So I'm making it accessible by doing it online, making the prices accessible. I'm not saying no to the kids, because to say they're not ready or not. So I've put an age as a guide. So basically, it's between 3 to 6, because what I'm trying to do is trying to get them ready for school. Now, sometimes that can happen only a year before school, but really the best is a 2-year program, 2 years of getting the kids to transition to school. So yeah.
Yeah.
So I also send the parents information in terms of assessment, so they can see where their child's at. So I guide them through there. As a teacher, I work with the parents to guide them, to get the kids ready.
Yes. What if suddenly
Yeah.
they are a special needs learner, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we do have. I do have. Good question, no? I just don't have the chart in front of me, but I do have a chart available, which is a resource that is provided to us here by the government, so by the Department of Education, where you see developmental milestones from maybe 0 years of age, like, or maybe 6 weeks of age, all the way to 5. So when you read that, you can see what the red flags are, and if you see
Okay.
that in your child, then maybe that prompts you to say, oh, maybe it's good for me to see a pediatrician. Like here,
The pet.
yes, here in Australia, we always start with a hearing test and an eye
Yeah.
test. So if you do an eye test, maybe they can't see very well, so they're acting up. They can't hear very well, so they're acting up. Now, if those things come back clear and you still see red flags, then it's best to talk
That's
to
the
your
time.
pediatrician. Yes, and
Yeah.
they can do an assessment. Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
May question ako, nakalimutan ko lang. Pero, okay, sige. Anyway, yeah, siguro nga yung question kanina is, yung readiness of the kid, no? But also, we we highly encourage also the parents to understand their involvement, no? Should they decide to send their kids to a homeschool program, because it's a bigger involvement, especially right now during the pandemic. Last night nga, my wife and I were talking. Sabi niya, ang daming parents na nagsasabi na, paano yan? I have to go to work. I have to, do this. I have to do that. And then sabi nga niya, there are also teachers na meron ding anak na will have to do homeschooling. And those teachers
Yes.
have to still teach, di ba? So
Yes.
everyone is in the same situation. Whether
Yeah.
you are a teacher or an employee or an entrepreneur,
Mhm.
lahat pare-pareho yung situation now. So, no, everyone's a teacher now, actually.
Right.
If everyone became a chef, everyone became a teacher too. Di ba? Parang ganun lang yung nangyari because we're all teachers now.
Right.
Which I think is, the effect of this pandemic and,
Mhm.
staying home. Ayan, may question dito. Do you include special kids?
Yeah. I'm not excluding anyone. I try to have a very inclusive program. So I provide what would I say, differentiation, and it's those yung mga differentiated materials. Basically, the materials that I send by email. Because it's 3 to 6 years old now. Some children are younger and some are older. So you can actually extend them. Like maybe for younger kids, you can do just a 1 to 5. And then for older kids, then if they know more, or if your kids are a bit more tuned in, then you can do, maybe up to 20. That's one way to differentiate it. And then for special kids as well, if they would just like to, for the online classes, if they would just like to sit in and watch that, and that's how they would participate by taking it in, and not actually speaking. That's fine. That's okay. Actually, that's very good for them that they have, this type of socialization or learning in an environment that is not, that doesn't pull them away from what is normal. Like from their normal. So I highly encourage, that if you have children with special needs, as long as they can see, you've set up all
Yeah.
the
And
spaces.
the involvement of parent now for someone with a special child, no, mas involved sila sa online dapat.
Yeah, maybe
Mas
kasi
totoo.
for the regular kids, they can sit down and then just watch, and they won't be touching the computer, and then that's fine for them. But maybe for special children, then they can support them if they need a special seat, if they need a bouncy ball, so they can
Yeah.
actually be touching that and moving or be bouncing while working with us, and that's fine too. Yeah, or if they cannot move. And they need a good view. So just set up the right conditions for them so they can
Okay.
actually join in.
All right, I see. Okay, so yeah. So now, siguro I guess my final question is, or maybe as a final synthesis, no? Ano dapat to synthesize everything? So kung hahanap sila ng homeschool program, okay?
Mhm.
Ano yung criteria na dapat nilang hanapin?
Yes. A preschool program, really, it's more than academics. I think they have to look at the development of the child as a whole. Just the basic things would be their social emotional development, that it supports that. They have to be able to identify their feelings, name their feelings, and to express themselves. And another thing is, for a program, I think it has to develop their communication skills. Because for kindergartens or prep, when they first enter school, usually they cannot really read, they cannot really write, or maybe they can read a little, write a little. But the main thing of how teachers would understand them is if they can communicate. So
Wow.
using their words and expressing themselves is just more important than ever. And it's also how they make friends. So as you know, for kids now, once they have their friends, they're fine. They want to go to school. If they don't have
Yeah.
friends, it makes things just much harder for them. So I think their communication skills, social emotional development, and of course, and their self-help skills, that's very important. So they don't have to rely on yayas or teaching assistants, to help them wash their hands or do things, because that develops their confidence, and that confidence just translates from one thing to another. So I can do this, I can do much harder things, then it makes me a bit more persistent. So I think those are the foundational skills that needs to be developed before you go to school.
So, yan yung mga
Yeah.
titingnan nyo dapat na nasa
Right.
curriculum nila if that can be developed. Okay, thank
Yeah.
you. We have a couple more questions here. Okay, how do you group children? Is it ability, talent, or what? I mean, in your class, I guess, no? Siguro yun yung question niya. You group them, paano ba yan? Or, well, since preschool naman yata, parang, it's...
Yes, so for preschool, I'm doing, because I'm not naman doing the younger kids that are 2, no? So usually, in my experience, the 3 to 6s, or 3 to 5s, 3 to 6, the preschool who are not going to school, more or less, they're on the same ability level. Because like what I said, I'm not purely focusing on academic skills. I'm doing academics, but I'm not purely focusing on academic skills. Now, those things, the curriculum I email, or the learning materials I email at home, that's when you can differentiate. So you can go further if you want to go up to 20, 30, or even 100. But for the younger ones, maybe they're going to be happy to go up to 5 or 10, and that's an accomplishment for them. So you can do that. So yeah, I provide you the tools that you need to do that.
Okay. Ito pa, meron pa. We have another one. How do you evaluate the preschoolers after each term? May rubrics ka na dun, no?
Yes, so maybe that's a guide, but I also send you some assessment materials. So maybe when you start, kasi you can join in at any time, no? So I'll give you assessment materials. So if you're concerned about, let's say, the alphabets, I have assessment tools that I'm going to give you. Okay, you have your A to Z na uppercase, you have your A to Z na let's say lowercase. How many of those can your child identify? How many of this can your child identify? And then let's go through the program. And let's say at the end of the program, let's check again. Are they, making developments? Are they actually recognizing more? Is this working for them? Or so things like that. So you can use those tools. So
Okay.
yeah, that's included.
Okay, here pa. One last question. I'm a preschool teacher here in our province. Can you give me tips on how to teach or handle kids during online class? Is it good if I teach them individual first? Then there are days we will give them group sessions for interaction. Thank you so much. So parang tutoring, one-on-one, and then may group, parang ganun siguro, no?
So I guess you have to first, kailangan alam mo muna kung ano ba yung goal mo. Pag nagpunta ka sa, pag nag-login ka online, if you're holding that class, ano ba yung goal mo? Is your goal socialization, or is your goal to actually teach the alphabet? So if you're teaching the alphabet today and you're teaching it online, so maybe, as a teacher, that you have to tell them kung ano yung goal mo for the day. But then I would always say, it's nice to do a small group. It's harder to do, maybe just 1 or 2. It's nice to do a small group, a smaller group of maybe 5, 6, or 7. That would be perfect. And then always include yung mga songs that everyone can do at the same time. Kasi mas ganado yung mga kids kapag nakikita nilang ginagawa rin ng ibang mga kids. Yeah, so habang nagtuturo ka, mas maganda yung may nakikita rin silang animation, or naririnig din silang mga songs that they can sing to, that they can move to. So, mahirap kasi dahil yung mga bata, nasa bahay-bahay nila. So, you can't expect them to be the same in school na nakaupo sila as they learn. So, if you, mag-provide ka ng adjustments na if they want to do it standing up, And then they can clap that way or they can dance that way and sing that way. I think that's where we need to provide the flexibility. And to accept that because na wala nga sila sa school,
Right.
where everything is very structured. So,
All right. Okay. So, final comment from
Gwen.
dahil nasagot mo yung question niya. Good point, Ms. Audi. It's not the learning per se, but the personal development of the social-emotional aspect and the communication skills of the preschoolers. All right.
thank you,
Wow.
Gwen.
Oo, ang bilis, ano? And dami pa nating gusto itanong kay Audi. I'm sure the audience, the viewers, would still want to ask their questions, no? Ito, may humabol. Pwede pa ba, Audi? Do you still have time for one more
go
question?
ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. How can we be sure that we will have an authentic assessment for each child since we are on online setup?
Well, you as a parent would know, hindi naman natin pwedeng daya-dayain lang yan, ano? We can, I provide you the tools, and then, like what I said, I have the curriculum as well. And as you know, this is pre-schooling. So we are trying to get the kids ready for school. So I really don't think it's about, the worksheets and ticking and flicking each answer. So it's about the child's, overall development and basic skills. So really, it's the foundational skills that we are after developing and honing and nurturing those foundational skills. When we do the program, I would have the curriculum for you. So there would be certain points in there. So for each learning outcome that I will share with you. And you can always, email me and ask for feedback and things like that. And aside from the assessment tools for the academic components, for the, literacy and numeracy components.
And I think dito papasok yung importance ng involvement ng parent especially in homeschooling. Kasi the parent will also be a witness to the development of the child So makikita both, no? Kaya ako when I always do the PTC dun sa physical school pa nun, I always stress kung ano yung sinasabi ko observation ko sa bahay para at least nag-align kami nung teacher. And
exactly.
And I think since we're already the topic of homeschooling, mas malaki ang involvement ng parent because lalo na nasa bahay sila. Dahil mas nakikita nila So they should also set their own goals, I think. The parents should also set their own goals which they have to parang discuss with the teacher.
With the teacher, yes. Yeah. It's really a partnership, Like as a teacher, what I'm trying to help the parents see is, what eyes should you be looking at when you're observing your child doing this, Like if they're not learning their 1, 2, 3s or ABCs, how are you actually, teaching them, or what should you actually observe? Are they even ready for that? Or where can we start and things like that? Now, as a parent, you know your child better, and then I support you in that way so you can extend your kids' learning. So, hindi naman lahat ng mga kids pare-pareho yan na, basta 4 ka na, alam mo na A to Z or whatever, So, it's just, you have, I guess it's really important that we acknowledge where our child is at and that we honor that, and that's okay. Once we accept that, I think it's easier to help them. Once we fudge what we see, like we can't accept it. So we're going to say, hindi, marunong na siya nito, Then we're not helping them that way.
Agree. All right. So, ano ba? Natapos na tayo. Ganun lang kabilis, Jeremy.
Yeah.
So okay. So again, I mean, for me, my takeaway here is really in choosing the homeschool program, you really have to understand the goal of the provider for your children.
Exactly.
Yes, yes. You have to know what kind of program they're actually providing, and you also have to know what is important for you.
Exactly.
So what are your goals? Why are you sending your kids to preschool. So when those two things align, then you're going to be happy with the program. Then you're going to be happy with what you see, because if not, if you don't align with the program, then it might not be the right fit for you. And that's okay. You just have to look for what fits your needs and what your goals are. So.
All right. Thank you. So ito thank you lang yung mga viewers natin. Thanks for sharing your time and expertise. Miss Audi, God bless all your endeavors for all the kids you're teaching. Marisa, thank you for another new learning today. More power. All right. So that's it, no? Just a reminder to everyone, we have, I'm not sure if Jeremy can join me tonight, but I'll have Justin Pinion again to talk about his upcoming program. And tomorrow, another Agustin, is joining the program. Not you. I was going to teach entrepreneurship to teachers naman. Marvin Agustin. Okay?
Oh, okay.
Oh, yes. So Marvin Agustin, yes, siya yun, yung artista, will be here tomorrow at 9 a.m. and he will talk about entrepreneurship. Ako, excited ako. All right? Because yan
that is very exciting, Jeff.
That is very exciting, no? So, yung topics na favorite namin ni Jeremy, entrepreneurship, yan ang pag-uusapan namin ni Marvin bukas. Home-based business, no? So, yeah, yun pala, Audi. Maybe in the future, if the viewers are watching, baka interesado sila, Audi, I want to bring in your curriculum in the Philippines, and pwede ba yan? They can franchise it in the future, or they can license it in the future?
Yeah, actually, I've been thinking about that as well. I'm thinking, maybe this is another avenue that that teachers can actually do. They can run their own program using the curriculum and materials that I already have. So that I can share with them and show them basically what it is they need to get started with the preschool program. And that would be nice because I'm actually here in Australia. So kung merong mas mas homegrown who actually even understand the needs of the Filipino students further, that'd be good. Yeah.
Okay.
That's something we can explore, Jeff.
Yes, So sa mga nanonood ngayon, if you want to offer an international program, Australia-based homeschool program for preschoolers, Audi is here, okay? So you can message her. I'll just put her website here. It's bubbacare.com. Yeah.
Yes, you can check out my website, and you can also check out Facebook. I also have a Facebook. It's called Bubba Care Early Learning, or Bubba Care Online. So I'm also on Facebook. So please check that out. I'm sharing content there at least weekly. Right now, the most recent one that I did is schedule cards. So you can go to my website, or you can go to my Facebook page. You can download schedule cards. It's a good way to start if you're looking at homeschooling your kids. So they have it's visual cards that your children can see and manipulate, and they can start there. So you can have a structure at home for home learning.
All right. Thank you very much, Audi.
All right.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for watching. Jeremy, any words from you?
Well, thank you, Audi, for shedding some light in, especially at this time when, hey, Kat. Yeah. The time we're all shifting from a traditional to the online setting, right? Especially for young learners, 3 to 6. So
yes, I think it's important that we don't overlook them, because they also need help. They need to be busy with good stuff, not just not just games. So.
All right.
So, thank you for doing this.
Yes. Thank you, Jeremy.
Okay, you're welcome. Bye-bye, Audi.
All right, bye, Jeff. Salamat. See you again soon, hopefully.
I'll message you. Yes, of course.
Yes, and all the best. All the best for Kai Husay, okay?
Thank you. Okay, so that's it, Jeremy. All right, bye. Thanks for watching.